Good morning. Yesterday I spent a long time at the office with different groups as we were trying to wrestle with issues of what the church is going to look like here in a COVID world. We were wrestling with issues like, what does online worship look like? How do we continue to make it special as we go back and have in-person worship as well? We were trying to look at, what does it look like a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now? I'm not exactly sure what it's all going to look like, but we got to figure it out. We were trying to wrestle with children's ministry. What does it look like? Most children aren't very good at social distancing, and yet having a children's ministry is so important. We were looking at issues like after-school ministry. You start thinking about after-school ministry, and you got to have the opportunity to be with the kids, but we don't know what school's supposed to do. Is it going to be 3 days a week, 2 days a week? Is it online? Half days? School system can't seem to decide. So how do we figure out our after-school ministry? We're working on food ministry. Our food ministry has exploded in such an amazing way. We've now spent the money that we had to go to restaurants to buy meals and then be able to share it with those who are hungry. But the Oklahoma City County Health Department has asked us to continue to partner with them to make delivery of produce, and we want to deliver meals as well. So we're thinking, can we have volunteers come to the church, cook, provide food? What would that look like? There are so many things that we have to try to figure out. And what is the church going to look like a month from now, 4 months, 6 months, a year from now? I don't know, but I'm sure that there are answers out there that we've not yet dreamed of. And that's part of the exciting thing. We have to dream up what it's going to be. And I believe it's going to be through the leading of God's Holy Spirit, with each of us praying and being innovative and creative, that God is going to lead us into the future. And my guess is that what we discover out there is going to be different from probably what we anticipated. I couldn't help but think about a wonderful story. I've been enjoying watching, as I told you, Marsh and I were watching all about SpaceX and the launch from here on America's soil to men to the space station. And it just really got me thinking about the past and all that we did in NASA back in the 1960s. You may not realize, but one of the biggest issues that NASA faced in going to the moon was not just a rocket or a capsule or a lunar lander. It was a spacesuit. What happens when we get to the moon? You got to get out on the moon, and it's like you're going to be in a mini space capsule, a mini spacecraft. You got to get out on the moon, and a spacesuit has to protect you from the environment, the elements out there. It may get to be a minus 240 degrees and then a plus 280 degrees. How does it keep you cool yet warm? It has to provide you oxygen. It has to keep you with the proper PSI. The spacesuit may have been one of the most critical things in being able to finally successfully walk on the moon. When NASA was trying to come up with an answer, what should a spacesuit to walk on the moon look like? Well, they took some money and they went to a couple of military contractors, and they gave them this money and said, use it for research and development, and the two of you come back and make your presentation. It was a closed bidding. But there was another company. They came back to NASA and said, we want to bid on the spacesuit. It turned out, they said, we're not looking for any money for R&D. We'll provide everything ourselves. Just give us the opportunity to be a part of the bidding. NASA was very reluctant, but they finally agreed. The company who wanted to participate was Playtex. What they were known for was their undergarments, girdles, bras. In 1965, they came out with the Cross Your Heart bra. No, they said, we want to participate. And so they went to work with no money from the government, creating their idea of a spacesuit. It wound up being 21 layers thick. When the women were sewing on it, they couldn't use pins to hold it together. That would make a hole. The stitches had to be 1/64th of an inch. Perfect. No, it was incredible, and the stress was overwhelming. People who were helping to lead the project, well, one man had been a TV repairman, and the other one had been a car mechanic. But Spaniel, who headed up Playtex, knew these men to be creative and innovators, and so he hired them to lead the spacesuit project. A man who had been a TV repairman, a man who was a car mechanic, leading a group of ladies who were seamstresses to do an amazing thing. They tackled it. They only had 6 weeks to develop it. They had tests finally come out. The 2 competitors that NASA had given money to and Playtex, and the Playtex spacesuit was so far superior to the other 2. Military companies knew spacesuits had to look like armor, but that meant people couldn't move. Playtex made one that was flexible, that you could use, and they could pick up things and do things. Now theirs was incredible. They got the contract. It wasn't what NASA was looking for. It wasn't what they were thinking. They weren't even really excited about it. And yet they saw it was the answer. And so they gave them the contract. Neil Armstrong, 25 years after he walked on the moon, was writing a special thank you note to Playtex saying, "That was the most incredible suit, and I want to thank you. The best thing about it was you hid the face from the person inside." No, it was great. I don't know what the future is going to look like. You don't know what the future is going to look like in your business, your education, your kids. Let me tell you, we don't have to be afraid. God's going to lead us into the future. I can assure you it's going to be different from anything that we might expect. And because of God's grace, I'm convinced it's going to be good. Go out and make it a great day.